wonder if Cindy arrived already. If I should go tell them. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay. We'll be starting in just a few minutes here. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're excited to show you where technology and tradition have come together at Hurtgenlea Holsteins. I'm Dan Piepenberg. I'm a dairy management advisor at SmackTech. And here at World Dairy Expo, where new ideas and innovation and technology are shared to help advance the dairy industry into the future, we're so proud to be able to present this virtual farm tour to you today. SmackTech was founded in 2009 in Austria. In 2021, it was brought to the United States and unveiled right here at the World Dairy Expo. Hurtgenlea Farms was our first customer in the United States, and it's been exciting working with them the last 4 years and also seeing the transition to robotic milking and the intercropping field trials that they're undertaking with the USDA. We can't wait to hear for you guys to hear the story that they're about to present. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Adam Hurtgen and Cindy Bartel and let them tell the story of the past, present, and future of their farm. Thank you.
First, first of all, I'm much more comfortable in a skid loader than I am here today, but it's going to be fun and happy to share what we're going to tell you about our farm. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to start by telling you a little bit more about myself. Um, I I went to school at Modesto Junior College in the Central Valley of California. I spent 2 years there with family, learning a lot about the different ways you can take care of large groups of cattle. I went to Cornell University for a Bachelor of Science in Animal Science. Um, I think that's where I got a business degree and the real yearning for operating a business in dairy. I was really lucky to spend time with my aunt and uncle in California, my cousin Richie, on their farm. I got to spend an internship in Tulare, California, on a 3,500 cow dairy, learning everything I could possibly know about transition cows. Um, and then, thankfully, after I graduated from college, I was able to spend about 15 months on a farm here in Wisconsin as an assistant herdsman before taking this long and large step to come home and begin a farming operation with my parents. That's just my beginning, and Cindy's going to share where her life has taken her.
Thank you for coming this morning. We're delighted to share with you the story of Hurtgenlea Holsteins and a little bit about my background. I have a background both in agriculture policy and crop production and physiology, and I now work with Iowa State University as a research scientist and as a technology adoption lead for crops and cropping systems. So that means figuring out how much these new crops and cropping systems really cost and figuring out how to plug them into the Farm Bill and Farm Bill framework. We want to take some of the risk out of these new practices for farmers at the farm level. And Adam is going to take it away now on the dairy side.
Welcome to Hurtgenlea Holsteins in Elkhorn, Wisconsin.
I'm Karen.
I'm Leo.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Cindy.
Hurtgenlea Holstein started in 1980 when we rented the farm and purchased it 3 years later.
Today we are home to 300 registered Holsteins, milking 130 in 2 robotic milking units.
Welcome to our farm, and we can't wait to show you around today.
So to start with just a little bit about Hurtgenlea, it started with my parents, Leo and Karen, with just a handful of cows and probably some dreams. But it's grown to the size we are. But for a good portion of 30 years or more, it was just milking 35 cows in a tie stall barn. And over time, we were milking 90 cows in a tie stall barn. We went on and continued to grow our herd size to where we are today. I'm very proud of the lineage. I come from 6 generations now of dairy farming. I truly do believe it's in my blood. The seeds of passion for dairy were planted very, very early for me, and I'm very thankful for it. The goals that we have at Hurtgenlea really revolve around the dairy cow. We want to take the best care of all cows. We have favorites, but every single cow matters. With that, we use this unique SMAX Tech technology to monitor them and care for them. And we're adding another level of innovation and thought by beginning an innovative forage system that allows us an opportunity to create more forage on limited land. And you're going to hear more about that later on. One of the big mottos that we set in 2004 of what we wanted to do was just quality milk from quality cows. We keep it simple. If our decisions can match anything, we want quality milk from quality cows. Right now, Cindy and I are farming with my parents, Leo and Karen, and we have a part-time feeder. He's with us now over 9 years. He spends about half a day, and he might be finishing his chores now. All in all animals are on site, the calves and heifers included. I'm going to just point out a few things that you can, to give you a reference for the farm and what it looks like today. Out here near where my cursor is, 2 commodity sheds. Also included with our feed center, we have three concrete bunkers, roughly 200 feet long and 40 feet wide. Can hold about 4,000 tons of forage that we can hold and to help feed the herd. As we move south, we have a small pasture for some heifers here to get them on grass. We have the old dairy barn where again we switched 90 cows twice a day, some long days. But eventually we kept building, and this is our first freestall barn from 2004. It's we're going to find out more about this here real soon. 2010, we jumped to a 8 Germania parlor, and we still are repurposing much of that center, even though we have robotic milking now. 2011, we quickly added another freestall barn for heifers and dry cows, along with extra manure storage here behind.
Moving into the freestall barn, we built this barn in 2004. It's a 4-row barn. 120 initial freestalls were included for the special needs area. We did a retrofit with 2 robotic milking units in 2023. And earlier in April, we added a smart sort gate system that allowed us to go from free flow to a partially guided flow system. The milk cows are managed in 2 different groups, Pen 1 and Pen 2. Pen 1 is first lactation 2-year-olds, and then we have a multi-pairs milk cow pen. A lot of our feed is locally grown. We trust our local neighbors to grow feed for us. We have a conventional diet with corn silage and alfalfa as a main base of forage.
We also have fans and sprinklers for cow comfort during warmer temperatures in a sand bedding facility.
So as we showed you, the freestall barn, we did a retrofit in 2023. The barn was built in 2004, and we placed these 2 robots right in the middle of each pen. It was the best way to use our space that we had. The barn that we built, it was built with extra space in mind, and thankfully it now can house 2 robotic units. One of the interesting setups that we had for the barn over time was a mixture of rail and headlocks. The headlocks just happened to be just in front of where the cows want to exit their robot after milking. And it's become a really nice added value for us to be able to maybe sort a cow, get her through the robot, and have her caught without having to actually physically maneuver or handle her to get caught for special needs, fresh cow care, or just if it was a breeding for the morning. The ration that we have, it's a 1-group ration. We do believe that we can provide enough protein for our first lactation heifers that are milk cows that are growing and still trying to produce milk at a high level. And so our second, third, fourth lactation cows are getting the same diet for consistency, and we're trying to maximize their production, again, with just a little elevated protein to that diet. One of the last added pieces to their ration is the pellet that comes through the boxes. And initially, I know we started around 8.5, 9 pounds of pellets in the free flow setup. Today, with the smart sort gate system, we're starting to take those numbers much lower, and we can still maintain those visits. For the manure handling, barns are cleaned just with a skid loader twice a day. We're raking stalls twice a day. Fresh, clean, new sand once a week for udder health and just for comfort. And as we manage this manure, you may be asking, that might be a lot of cows on limited acres, and we work with a nutrient management plan, and so we can properly take care of the land that we have, and then we're paying to offload the extra nutrients with local neighbors.
So right now we're in one of our robot rooms. We have two DeLaval V300 boxes, and we're averaging in the neighborhood of 160 to 165 milkings per day. That comes out to maybe an average of 2.5 visits per cow per day in each pen. It's a really nice unit. We like the quality of milk that we're getting from them, and the operation really is not that labor intensive. Total components on the herd, we're about 4.6% on butterfat, 3.3% protein, and our cell count's now under 200,000, and we're hoping that we can keep improving over time.
So our decision to go to robots was, when we look at a lot of our farm challenges on our farm, I call them bottlenecks, but it became pretty apparent that labor scarcity was going to be a very large bottleneck. And so the decision for robotic milking and having the automated system was mainly to solve that one key issue. It's also we'll go on to the next one. For the smart gate sort system, we did start free flow. We found it pretty challenging, and after we went to a partially guided flow system, the cows are able to more able to take their own rhythm of finding feed and water, and allow the smart sort gate system to select the cows that should be milked. And so then when they're visiting, we are maximizing that 6.5 minutes that each cow that goes in is actually a selected cow. Maybe she's not rejected and she's not at 3 or 4 hours since her last milking. We want to see 30, 32, 35 pounds per visit on the cows to make or to at least maximize and make that robot as efficient as possible. So to some of these learnings, we have pros and cons to robots. I think the biggest key for us was the ability to achieve a higher level of management in other key areas, as we weren't spending time in a milking parlor. And it makes the most sense when we care for our cows, we want to offer that level of care for all calves, cows, dry cows, heifers, doesn't matter. They're all important. Another big pro is the flexibility of when we want to work, what we want to do throughout the day, and it's adding a quality of life. Um, Everybody is off the farm today for whatever time. That doesn't happen very often in the past. So this is a really good day for us to see family and all be away to enjoy World Dairy Expo. Some of the cons, touch on them briefly. Um, you can have really big fetch cow days if you're struggling. And that, I know we did struggle. I'll gladly admit it. But that is one of those cons. And the key thing that a lot of people, when they talk to us, is the large capital investment, the cost of maintenance, and it is significant. I'm not gonna duck that one. Other questions that we've had in the past is about whether we had to call any non-conforming animals. And I like to say, and I'm very happy to say, that we may not have had all animals robot ready, but we didn't have to call. So if they weren't perfect, they still worked within our system, and we're happy to have every one of them. Lastly, when we talk about the robots, we always were told, make sure you have service, make sure you have a good dealer that will back up their product. And that's the biggest thing that we can say if you're considering robots, is that your dealer will provide the service they are meant to do. That is the key part to a robotic system, is that you have the support to get you through some tough times and see yourself through to a better day. Right now, we're working with Ader's Professional Dairy Supply. We've been with them over a year now, and is very, very happy with them. Our next slide is going to be for the herd health management.
In this herd, we're a SmaxTech herd. We're very proud of it. We were the first herd to install the technology system in North America. We've been on it for 4 years now. The system contains a base station. The base station is located behind us in the milking barn. We have a second location for our dry cows and our pre-breeding heifers. Again, we have about 225 total animals on the system with the bolus, no bigger than a calcium bolus. And really it provides us the profitability to take care of our cows and the health of our cows, and then be efficient in the time that we're spending with them.
So in 2021, we were looking for a tool or for technology to help us. And it's more critical today that we have the monitoring service and the monitoring service from SmaxTech, but we don't see our cows come through the parlor twice a day. It is our eyes on the entire herd, keeping us aware of what's happening for each and individual animal. The main key is we knew we had a bottleneck with fresh cows and with repro. We knew we could do better, and SmaxTech became a really big solution part for us. Now we're monitoring those fresh cows. You can see exactly what they're doing from calving straight to day 7, day 10. Are they right? Are we good? And on the repro side, it's been a game changer as we've almost gone away entirely from ObSync and trust the system for breeding cows on natural heats and having a much higher conception rate. It's a good bullet. We became the first SmaxTech customer. in the U.S., and I never felt like we were the first. It was in Europe for more than 10 years. There was many farms and dairymen and women that helped prove this out, and knew the value. I did some research. I watched YouTube videos in German with subtitles, and I knew very quickly that this was a tool um, that was going to make a difference. We're going to be moving on to our and how our herd health has improved. Is that just a slide?
SmaxTech offers us a lot of information, but in 4 key areas. Number one is activity for our repro, when to breed cows, so that we can have accurate insemination. The calving alert is our second one, knowing when to move cows into our calving area and when to expect a calf is super important. The drinking cycles is our third one, and it just tells us how well the cow is doing when she has consistent drinking cycles. She feels better. You know she's on her own schedule, doing a really good job of working through our system in the robotic system. And then lastly, it's the temperature, and it's kind of like the main thing every day. You know when a temp is going up or when one is coming down. Why you might want to know a temperature is coming down? It's when you have implemented a treatment protocol and she's probably improving. So both of those are super important for us.
So I think I touched on a little bit earlier why it's been so important when we don't see our cows in the parlor as often. If the cows are right, if they off on their production. For us, the second piece here, the power of prevention offers peace of mind. It's really been a godsend. I think we do so well with the decrease of DAs. We may have been 6-7%. We're down to 1%. The DOAs from the fresh cows, we're dropping that down almost by 2/3. We can always contain. We're always maintaining a higher peak yield when you know what your cows are doing for rumination. The conception rate, we were at like 3.1 services per conception. In the first year, we dropped it to 2.1. I mean, it was just a massive move. Less days open, and the value that you can see in less days open today, when you factor in a $4,000 replacement heifer or a $1,500 Angus calf, always looking at opportunities to drive profitability, and SmaxTech for us is a really big piece of that. Antibiotics saved, like we hardly order antibiotics. It's hard to put a number on it. Hormone costs have dropped by 95%. Like I said, we were almost an all off-sync herd, and now it's maybe 5% that we're actually using an off-sync protocol for. A really good story. The trust, the technology. It was probably within the first few days that we had it installed. My dad and I both saw an alert for a cow to be bred. We had no knowledge that she was in heat. You couldn't tell. You couldn't see anything. And so we looked at ourselves and said, well, are we going to trust the technology, or like, what did we spend the money for and invest? Sure enough, we bred the heifer. We need to trust the technology. She did get pregnant, and that's a wonderful story. I would like to say that the data doesn't lie. Smacks Tech is telling you everything you need to know. It can only be misinterpreted. So I trust the technology, and I value every piece of information that it can offer.
Standing right now in front of our dry cow pen. The dry cow pen has the base station just located next door. It's capturing all of our information for calving alerts, as well as all the other information each animal has. As soon as we're getting this calving alert, within 4 to 6 hours, I want this cow moved onto a pack area so that she has the clean bedding straw before she has the calf. Standing right now in front of our dry cow pen. The dry cow pen has the base state.
There we go. We'll make it work. So yeah, the last barn that I pointed out in one of the first slides, we have stalls for like 130 in there. We really want to create a low stress environment. Dry cows have extra space. Even the heifers have extra space. That's just one of those things where we can offer the animal that ability to be more comfortable. As we get to some of our protocols when cows calve, we're using a just-in-time calving. As I mentioned, the cow can remain in her social environment for as long as possible before moving, and our pen moves are minimal. They go from a dry cow pen, they go to the calving area, they go to a milk pen, and they leave that same milk pen straight back to the dry cow pen. So she's only seeing like 2 pen moves in one lactation. As our cows are calving, we're offering them an electrolyte mix, warm water. Again, it's just offering anything that can keep them calm and comfortable. A lot of people have been talking about this. There's new studies that are out, and I don't know if it's controversial or not, but as far as pre-calving and the training of those heifers, the study that last came out from the University of Guelph, they're finding that the heifers are coming, when you pre-train, they're coming in for the pellet, but they might not be experiencing the real reason why they're coming into the robot is for milk letdown. So due to the location of our dry cow barn, we're not pre-training them, and then we train them as they calve in, and then they're learning that robotic system, moving them 3 to 4 times a day for as long as it takes to get them on a schedule. We're going to move on to the genetic portions.
So our genetic program started a long time ago through time and trying to improve each generation. We have found some success. The one cow family in particular is what we call our very merry family. And for now 6 generations, the average dam score over 90 points, and which led to the #1 net merit cow of the world. And as she had a son named Hurtgenlea Richard Charles, which was named after Adam's grandfather, my dad, that became the #1 bull of the world, and which we obviously are so proud of. So our genetic program started a long time ago
So a lot of our genetic success, I believe, comes from corrective matings, um, through genetic testing and understanding strengths and weaknesses. Uh, I know you can always go forward with your genetics and make a better animal. Um, like I found DG Charlie in a Holstein International advertisement talking about his health traits from a cow family from Minnesota. DG Charlie was in the Netherlands, and I knew that the strengths of DG Charlie and the strengths of Yoder Modesto, she was type and production, and Charlie was all health traits. They were almost polar opposites. And if things went really good, I knew we'd have a lot of improvement. I didn't know right away that it would be that good. But that's where we're going to come to where making well balanced animals with corrective matings. The DG Charlie semen that we ordered got shipped from the Netherlands. It had to clear customs, overnighted into Iowa. Our oocytes were created and shipped from Elkhorn to Sioux Center, Iowa. They met at the right time in the right place, and we have a really beautiful bull to thank as a result. As we look at genetic goals and our outlook, um, it's been a big week this week. For tours. Um, Visitors have come from the Netherlands already. We have visitors from Morocco and Italy later. A couple of years ago, we hosted 5 or 6 countries, almost 100 people. It's very humbling when we see that type of interest for any reason, and we welcome all visitors at any time. Uh, we've been able to export embryos and sell embryos to a numerous number of countries. Um, it's something that I want to continue to do, and I think part of our strategy for making corrective matings and well balanced animals will allow us to get there and continue that effort. One of the important things for us is to address the inbreeding and having pedigree diversity. It's very important that when we look at developing other genetics for other markets, that we can be unique and diverse, and that doesn't always mean, any kind of animal. I still want the well balanced animal that can be appreciated by all people, all dairymen and women. At the end of the day, where my passion really lies, it's developing a cow that many breeders can appreciate across all spectrums of our industry. I thank you, and next, Cindy's going to take it from here.
So we're going to share with you today our USDA farm trial. And in order to do that, though, we need to put this into context. And we start with the challenges that many farms face. We have more cows than the land base will support for forage. We have more manure than the nutrient management plan allows, which is, as Adam mentioned, so we take a lot of that off-site. And we have waterways that we want to protect at the base of sloped lands. And these are not unique or special challenges. They're challenges that a lot of farms are facing today. What is unique, however, is how we address those challenges. And we firmly believe that practices need to be need-based, and they need to be specific to each farm. Each farmer is an expert on his or her own agribusinesses, and those practices are going to be therefore unique to the farm. On our farm, we address these through a nutrient management plan. We reduce tillage. We put in a no-till cover crop, but we do pull full tillage for a corn crop, especially with that spring soil moisture. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we plant hillsides with a highly erodible land that HEL gets a perennial for about 5 to 6 years. We really try to embrace continuous living cover. You've heard of that. CLC is gaining a lot of traction as living roots in the soil, so keep that soil covered. We have winter rye for forage production on about half of the corn acres, which increases our total forage production by between 20 and 30% per year. And that's a really tried and true practice for forage production in Wisconsin. Again, it covers the highly erodible land. We also then have our silage corn alfalfa trial as a type of perennial ground cover. All of that contributes to a carbon intensity score. We are participating in the Your Farm, Your Footprint program through the Professional Dairy Producers of Wisconsin with a generous sponsorship from Nestle. The consumer packaged goods companies really need a CI score, and it's helpful for them. It helps us then to secure a place in the marketplace for our milk. We're going to introduce you now to our trial.
The goal of the project, and what we hope to share with other farms, is to increase forage production off of limited land, so increasing land use efficiency, and doing that profitably, so making sure that we still have a return on investment with that intercropping system. We want to achieve that with the icing on the cake, which is to keep the soil in place so that the soil can continue to produce the types of bumper crops we need to feed our herd.
And I'd like to add that Cindy puts a very, very key word into all this: economically feasible and sustainable and profitable. Everything we do for sustainability, which can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, first and foremost has to be economically sustainable. And I think the numbers are starting to show that this system, evolving, continuing to learn more about, will be economically sustainable while environmentally sustainable, along with accomplishing the needs of the herd today and into the future.
The goal.
We're really fortunate to feature Bob Hagenow in that film. He's a very dear mentor for us, in addition to our nutritionist. We received an NCR SARE grant, North Central Region SARE grant, and we really want to share this with other farmers. The goal of the program is to really try to minimize risk for farmers to try new practices, conservation practices, or production techniques on your farm. And this specific grant will be opening up in mid-October. I'd really consider you emphasize to go ahead and check out the website if you're interested in this and you've got something new, a new idea that you'd like to try on your farm. Specifically with our alfalfa corn silage trial, our goals were a spring alfalfa cut plus a corn silage harvest. So we want to take that spring alfalfa cut just prior to corn planting, and then a fall alfalfa cut. So it's a triple pass for harvest. We also at the same time want to increase nitrogen uptake and limit runoff while increasing total forage production from the system. We tested out 5 different systems in replicated strips. We had 30-inch corn, so your standard corn production, 60-inch corn, 30-inch corn spacing with the alfalfa, 60-inch corn with the alfalfa, and then alfalfa alone is our check. And you can see a picture off to the right. We've got a picture taken with our corn silage and our alfalfa in the inter-row spacing. This is at corn ear silking, so about R1 during the growing season. And as Bob emphasized, we really have to look into costs and return on investment. If it's not financially feasible, it doesn't fit into the farm. In our first year, we only had a decrease in 30-inch corn and alfalfa by about 8%. We did not take a fall cutting of alfalfa because we were establishing the alfalfa in this first year, and we were going to put the system under a lot more stress in that second year. We interseeded the alfalfa into the corn about 6 days after corn planting. With a fall alfalfa cut, the total forage likely would have been comparable or a little bit higher with the intercropping system. We're now going to show you year 2 This is in our second year, and this was on Friday. We just harvested the second year of this trial. We ran a TMR mixer, and then the Kemper chopper blew that into the TMR mixer. That way we could get a weight off the strips, get the corn silage tested, and we could back calculate the yield. During the second year of this system, we knocked the alfalfa back a little bit. We try to suppress the alfalfa a little bit before corn planting to make sure that the corn can get a healthy start to the season, so we don't lose any corn yield while we're trying to add alfalfa yield to the system. During the second year, we have comparable yields, total yields. We've had to estimate this because we don't have our baleage measured quite yet, but we have comparable yields between the 30-inch corn and alfalfa and the 30-inch standard corn. And we're also knocking on the door of profitability. This is even with a few hiccups on that spring suppression of alfalfa and a later planting because of some tiling that we had to do. So we're really excited about what this holds for the future in terms of continuing that study. So the next steps for the corn silage alfalfa trial, in general, we know that every single farm one day is going to be land limited or land challenged, and that means being asked to do a lot more with less. We also ultimately want to keep the soil in place. We want more nutrients per acre. We're going to have to make more human food per acre. It means penciling out return on investment, not just with the forage, the extra forage that we're hoping to get from the system, but also what types of nutrients. We get a lot of N and N boost from that alfalfa. We're going to continue the most productive treatments into the third year. We know from this past harvest which of those treatments pencil out, so we know that they can be profitable on their own. We're also going to test methods for spring suppression on alfalfa. How do we knock the alfalfa back just a bit to make sure that the corn can get a healthy start in the corn growing season? We'd like to thank our collaborators. We have an exceptional team that has provided their expertise in getting the system onto the landscape, and a very special thank you to our on-site advisors. Again, Bob Hagenow, our nutritionist and dear mentor, and Jake Standel, who's a brilliant certified crop advisor and neighbor. If you're interested about perennial ground covers generally, we want to leave you with regenpgc.org. This project, our on-farm trial, is part of a broader effort anchored out of Iowa State University to try to streamline cover cropping systems. And this perennial ground cover stays on the field, on the soil year-round, and then is managed prior to corn planting. Our goal is merging soil and water conservation with high-yield row crop production. Adam's going to kick off this slide.
This is something that I came up with on a chat GPT. I love the artwork. I've seen it. Grant Wood, if I'm not mistaken. I just know where in the 1930s, the importance of a pitchfork and how people made it profitable. Today's tool that's just as important as that pitchfork is the cell phone, or its data, its technology, and it allows farms to continue farming profitably and hopefully for a very long time in the future. So it's a little something.
and finding what technology works for you and your specific unique farm. We want to thank you for your time this morning and sharing our farm journey with you. You'll notice there's a SARE survey on the table in front of you. If you could take a few minutes to fill that out. It's 2 or 3 minutes, and it shares with us your interest in the system or any comments about corn alfalfa intercropping. Adam and I are also available if you ever want to reach out and to contact us. We'd be happy to speak and also to answer your questions this morning. Thank you.
Who's got questions for us today?
Thanks. With your double cropping with the corn and alfalfa, when we saw the chopping into the TMR mixer, it looks like you had planted maybe 8 rows of corn, and you had, so it looked like a 2/3, 1/3 between the open sections of alfalfa versus the corn. It looked like the corn was being chopped. It looked like there was no alfalfa in between those rows. And we've seen other pictures with alfalfa between the rows. So the question is it really there's no alfalfa for what we saw for the 8 rows that were being chopped? And then when you did have like the 16-inch rows with probably the alfalfa in between, for one, does that alfalfa survive because of the crop canopy? Does it get enough sunlight to grow? And two, does that alfalfa ever harvested? Because I'd be thinking that it'd be very mature, very tough in the sense of low protein, etc. So how is that leverageable going forward? Is it just really just a ground hold new end source for that corn plant?
I'm going to take the does the alfalfa grow back first. Yes. And we have pictures from last fall after corn harvest in the establishment year. And that alfalfa under the 30-inch corn canopy, 60-inch corn canopy, and alfalfa alone is indistinguishable. It bounced back vigorously with a high forage value. I sort of wish we had taken the cut that year. We didn't, again, because we're suppressing it this year. We suppressed the alfalfa this second year, and in the 30-inch corn rows, the alfalfa was suppressed a bit beyond what we would have, it got knocked back a bit more. In the 60-inch rows, that's where Bob and I were speaking and visiting about the trial. That alfalfa is relatively, has a decent stand, and we expect the same effect this year where it's going to bounce back again once that corn canopy once the corn is taken off and the canopy opens up. But the forage value seems to be very high on the alfalfa after the corn is removed from what we've seen. That is our goal this year. Yes. This is year 2.
Another question? Anybody?
How did you hear about the SARE grant?
From a farmer field day. So exactly sort of like this, a farm tour, and a farmer was kind enough to share that this was the way that they tried something new. Adam heard about it and said, let's do it.
Cindy, I'm loud enough here. How about you speak to the big rain event in year 1?
The soil stayed in place. Soil didn't move. So it's one of the things we have to test is the erosion on the system. And
Yeah, so on most all of our acres, they all have some slope. Some have more slope than others, and I think it was what Bob is relaying to is there was a rain event that we had. I mean, weather today it's always more. It's more wind. It's more snow. It's more cold or more rain. It's not just a little bit of everything. But we had probably a 3 or 4 inch rain, and you could see the channels of water that took soil and put it into a waterway next to a neighbor. And this is something that when you can hold it in place, it just keeps everything cleaner and that much healthier for the soil and for our farming practices. I'm not sure, and I'm, but and that's okay. I mean, the unknown is what we're doing it for. So
It's definitely, and part of Regen PGC, we're working on intercropping mixes. Granted, perennial intercropping mixes, but annual mixes, and finding the right planting buddy, especially for weather resilience, is a very hot topic right now in forage production. So it's absolutely an option to look at mixes. Also, eventually using what's left as maybe to till that back in and use that as a green manure.
yeah, if we want to just kind of get to the origin story of why we thought we should grow corn and alfalfa. Um, this is going to go right to my father. I don't know what year it was. I'm guessing it was in the 80s. But we had third crop alfalfa down. Corn silage time probably September 15th. Our neighbor had two pull type fox choppers. One was set to a hay head, one was set to a corn head. And so each alternating chopper box went in the same silo and made this little swirl of corn silage and alfalfa mix. And so if we were if that was like the idea, could we do it all in one pass for a chop? The alfalfa and the corn silage. Maybe that's a heifer ration, maybe that's something else. It's maybe not the high quality dairy feed. But this is a kind of option that can work in for beef cattle. It could work for dairy, heifer lots. I mean, there's so much that it could do that's so positive for not just being a steward of the land, but also just creating more tons on fewer acres. But putting those two plants together and wanting both of them to grow and not have just an establishment of alfalfa and no longer continuing. So the corn, we want to be able to strip till into that alfalfa and get that planted and still get a first cutting of alfalfa at minimum. Great questions. Maybe this is the beauty of the system. There are so many dairy farms that have land so close to their manure pit that the conservation officers and manure management planners say we have to do something to pull it down using less nutrients, not putting anything much extra to it. But if you can manage your FOS and you can pull that end down and take advantage of growing those two crops together, and so that you can actually improve that soil by not having it so high in its resources.
The return, exactly. That was one of the things that we had in mind when we decided to trial this. You are exactly spot on. How do we get more out of less land? And then on the return on investment piece you mentioned, we do enterprise budgeting, and it's based out of the Iowa State University Extension and Outreach Budgeting. It's really well recognized in the Midwest, and we want to make sure that all of this pencils out and is relatively reliable. We don't have all of the numbers yet from this year to do that, but please know that we will be doing a whole enterprise budget based on the technology readiness of this system into what the true cost to the farmer is when we get that
consistently to be a profitable system, then it'll be ready for prime time. So I'm being told we need to wrap up, which is no. This is wonderful discussion. To your point, it's a really great question. How intensively is the management? We soil sample before the trial goes in, especially before that fall manure application, and soil carbon takes a really long time to build up. So it makes sense on the financial side too to wait for a few years. At the end of the trial, we'll pull those samples and then see where our carbon sits, because that is such a slow moving beast. We want to thank you. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tricky question. Okay. Uh, Super simple for administering. We're talking like a calcium bolus. It's just 15 seconds an animal, and that bolus is going to go in. It'll find the reticulum, and it starts doing its work. The data starts flowing within, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. I have a priority group on the farm, and it's our transition cows and heifers. I think that's where you get the most bang for your buck, but do not discount all of the offering that it has from the rumination and the activity monitoring. I mean, that's where a lot of your financial profitability is really rooted in the repro.
Thank you to Adam and Sydney for joining us today and sharing a story of their farm. We at SmackTech are very proud to work together with you guys, and we look forward to working with you in the future and seeing how you guys advance with yourselves and the dairy herd. And all of you guys, thanks for participating in the discussion today. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules. Please drop your surveys off at the back door, and feel free to grab a complimentary hat on your way out from one of my team members. And if you have any questions on the SmackTech system, we'll be around to answer them. Please don't hesitate to ask us. Thank you.
No. Good job. Nice job, Adam. There's so much interest in your deal. So, yes. Dan, I'm going to go help with the show here quick.
Yes, thank you.
Good question.